A person's attitudes taken together compromise his belief system. People typically are unaware of their belief system as it's made up of unconscious automatic responses to life situations. So the first step in engineering a widespread change of viewpoint is simply to redefine the terms and to ensure that the new terminology feels good. Slogans help to redefine terms. Appealing marketing slogans like smart growth, critical thinking, urban sprawl are coined by ad agencies paid by special interests to promote and disseminate deceptive buzz terms to various target audiences such as business leaders, and to slap those labels on everything that stands still. The same packaging, the same package technique is modified slightly to market ideas to children. How did Britney Spears and Eminem manage to become popular among 8-year-olds who are typically not yet sexually aware? By targeting a market. Targeting a market or proper packaging of a product helps ensure that it can be sold to and accepted by virtually any audience. Just as entertainers who look like prostitutes and pimps and drug addicts are sold to little children, politically charged curriculums are marketed to youngsters in the classroom too, as Michael Chapman showed you so well a few minutes ago. To do it, the advertisers, who in this case are called curriculum developers, must poll, test, and survey the target subjects. That's those polling questions that your kids got that Michael Chapman showed you, to find out what makes them tick. Then they know how to appeal to their audience or market. Wrong-headed legislation emerges from the fact that policymakers are convinced by professional manipulators that the majority of citizens, or at least the big political contributors, actually favor such initiatives as environmental extremism or graphic sex education. Paid provocateurs representing vested interests generate the phony consensus at deceptive lay meetings that dupe the community members into believing they will have input into the decision-making process when in fact the outcome is already assured. Pupils in the classroom are similarly duped via activities, discussion groups, tests, phony tests, surveys, and curriculum materials designed not to teach but to deceive by appealing to the children's egos, by making them believe their gut reactions are real solutions without reference to any facts or timeless principles. Creating and controlling the psychological environment requires the application of 3 axioms. Repetition. If people hear the same phrases and slogans long enough, they'll come to accept them. They will rarely recall where the ideas originated from. If individuals are isolated, undermined, and embarrassed, and outmaneuvered often enough, they will give up or become so irrational in presenting their views that no one who's not already in their camp will listen. This is also called marginalization and delegitimizing the opposition, but it's in fact isolation. Then there's labeling. If negative labels are applied consistently, both subtly and blatantly, to certain actions such as faith in God, and certain individuals and organizations, say Promise Keepers or just fill in the blank, whatever organization you wish, they can, by their very mention, function as negative conditioned responses. Commit these 3 tenets to memory: repetition, isolation, and labeling. Their successful application produces a populace that values expediency and group approval over independent thought and knocks out all considerations of right or wrong. The target population will actually work to avoid any appearance of individualism for fear of being seen a maverick in the eyes of the group. This goes a long way in quashing dissent. The goal of life becomes to hide in a social group and to allow organizational leaders to make the tough decisions. Framing the debate is key to climate control. That's what I call it. That is, keeping control of the psychological environment. When you frame the debate, you direct or drive the discussion. That is, you deflect attention from what the real agenda is. In effect, you tell people what they're going to think about and for how long. Now, I want to focus your attention on the classroom setting for just a moment, because raw indoctrination, which is used in the classroom, entails to a large extent framing the debate, just like it's used with adults. Just as in the media, they tend to dictate what Americans are going to think about and for how long, like with the Michael Jackson thing and years ago the O.J. Simpson business. Students in today's therapy-style classrooms are encouraged to discuss, read, and engage in activities that support a particular worldview. As soon as the pupil deviates from that worldview, the topic or the activity is changed or ended. Now, this, of course, is the opposite of free expression or open discussion, but that's not how it's labeled. It's labeled academic freedom. But indoctrination, like its sister brainwashing, is a more sophisticated form of psychological manipulation. It goes beyond framing the debate because its purpose is not merely to redirect attention or disrupt the thought process, but to systematically root out a person's support system, their emotional support system. This is something that not only you and as an adult must train yourself to recognize and combat, but you must teach your children to do it as well. There are 5 basic steps to indoctrination. You sweep away the subject's support base, that's his or her emotional life raft. Undermining parents is a favorite technique, a way of yanking the rug out from under the kids. Bombard the subject's senses with a steady diet of conflicting, confusing images and words in order to impair rational thought and discourage reflection, that's cognition. The technical term for this is, as I showed you in a previous slide there, was thought disruption. The result is a vacuum where the belief system used to be. Once a vacuum has been created, leaving the subject vulnerable and impressionable, and the technical term is willing to receive stimuli, you lead the subject to the desired ideas, concepts, and beliefs via trained intermediaries, that's facilitators and so forth, the clinicians, change agents, agitators. And then, after that, you condition the subject through repeated exposure to the desired beliefs using a wide variety of formats and activities. You repeat the lies, in other words, until the subject believes them. Then you test, survey, or analyze the market figures to ascertain whether the new beliefs have been internalized, as they call it, and accepted. If not, you recycle the subject. You go through the whole thing again. Indoctrination depends on the intermediary, say a teacher trained as a change agent, appearing value neutral, even though the materials and the agenda are not. Thus does the new breed of teacher, also called a coach clinician or facilitator, avoid lectures, rote drills, workbooks, because instruction, as per the technical definition you and I grew up with, isn't desired anymore. Knowledge imparted in a systematic manner is not the point of the exercise. Rather, the idea is to interpose, smuggle in, as it were, certain impressions, notions, attitudes, judgments, and conclusions into that vacuum created by stripping the belief system and impairing rational thought. In this way, viewpoints that might have been rejected by the subject out of hand will suddenly appear plausible. This means the target population must experience repeated exposure to the same desirable beliefs, using a wide variety of formats and activities. Let's take the acceptance of homosexuality. Now, this can be promoted, is promoted, in a variety of ways. For example, 1, by offering a new Barbie doll spin-off called the Gay Billy doll. You may have seen it. Another way is to working with producers to ensure that a wide variety of popular TV programs have gay and lesbian actors and plot lines, or handing out pro-homosexual literature to youngsters as they enter or leave elementary schools, or just keeping the topic of homosexuality always in the news with sympathetic articles in magazines, gay marriage, hate crimes, gay parades, and so on. And then there's launching non-stop ads and billboard campaigns, usually under the cover of AIDS awareness. In a school setting, conditioning would entail an interdisciplinary approach to learning so that the topic is inserted into all curricular areas, like Michael Chapman showed you in the fuzzy math thing. You put it in, you intersperse it everywhere you possibly can. You slap the message on everything that stands still. The same approach is applied to promote gun control, global warming theory, or smart growth. Same thing.